podcast. That was a trip down memory lane, so to speak. That's an old intro of ours, but it goes with the topic of today. Want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining us on this Drunk Turkey Show episode. Um, but as I was saying, we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be going into the Delphi case. Richard Allen, his trials, I believe, is going to begin tomorrow morning. And so things start. I think jury selection has already been done, and there's some pretty crazy news that have come out from the defense team already, and the trial hasn't even started. So we'll look into those things. We'll talk about how those things play out, and also we're going to go into the Suzanne Simpson missing person out from here, San Antonio, Olmos Park, which is just down the road from here. Husband's arrested. There's been a search in the landfill. We got some updates from those searches and some statements that have gone out. We'll do that and much more. Please hit that like and subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Also, pinned in the live chat, I'll go in there and pin it in the comment section once the show is over. There are two GoFundMe accounts. As probably most of you guys know, we do cover the Brian Koberger case with who allegedly took the lives of Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. And we have been, we've shared the GoFundMe for the Goncalves family, and Ben Mogan, Maddie's dad. He's trying to raise some money so that he can get out there. We also have his link in the description and in the live chat. So if you guys find it, in your heart to try to help out those two families, go check that out. Without further ado, so Richard Allen trial begins Friday, tomorrow. For those that are watching this on Thursday night, and let's talk about what to watch for, and what to learn later, because the cameras aren't going to be allowed in the trial. Let's just start off right there. So those that are for the pro burgers out there, this is going to shatter their thought or conspiracy that I'm biased towards law enforcement, because I'm not. And in this situation here, I'm very concerned. I think that, I'm not saying it's bad police work, but I think there's just so many holes here right now. I don't know if Richard Allen did it or not. I felt stronger about that, when his arrest came out, when the probable cause affidavit was dropped. And I still think he may have been a part of this. I find the timeline in which when he got there and the description that he said he was wearing, and when you look at the person on the bridge, you can tell that person's short. I mean, there's clear indications, scrunched up, folded up pants at the bottom, shirt very long, comes out of the jacket. The arms are real scrunched up. These are all indications of a person who's short, not somebody that's tall like Ron Logan at 6'2". You would have seen things like perhaps high water pants at the bottom of the legs, something that's not reaching all the way to the bottom when extending. Maybe even the cuff of the sleeve not reaching all the way to the wrist, those kind of things. And so I think that it's pretty, those things kind of lead me to believe that it's Richard Allen on that bridge. But could there be other people? I don't know. Maybe Elvis Fields, his statements were pretty interesting. But one of the things that I think is going to potentially cause maybe a little bit of a potential uproar in this situation is they're not going to televise this. And it's so bad that they're not even allowing media to bring in recorders. They're not allowing them to bring in laptops or anything. They have to write down on their notes, what's being said in the courtroom. And I think this is going to leave for a lot of things to be done wrong or being said wrong or misinterpreted. Somebody's going to hear something and is going to misinterpret what they hear and put that out there. And there's not going to be anything or anybody can do that's going to be able to you know, find out if those things are accurate or not. And I think that's concerning for both ways. I think that could be concerning for, somebody misinterpreted some evidence and was stating that, Richard Allen was guilty because this, and that. And if that evidence was misinterpreted, let's just say like the 60 confessions. If they come out and say, hey, he had 60 confessions, and let's just say a couple of those confessions may have been very accurate with what occurred. I think that one of them was um, that he had utilized a box cutter that he was given um, from work from the CVS, and that he discarded it in the dumpster in the back of it. I think that was one of the things that he had stated he had done. Well, if there was some indications that a box cutter was used or potentially used, and if that answers some questions about maybe perhaps, how the injuries looked, that's going to be very difficult to overcome. But let's just say there's only a few of those, and majority of them are things that don't make sense. Like, for instance, I think he had mentioned that he had taken the lives of his family and his grandchildren, while, as one of these 60 confessions. And so I just think that it's going to be, that's, I think it's going to determine when these confessions happened. All right. Like, are the accurate ones the first ones, or are they in the middle? Are they at the end? You know what I'm saying? Like, could it have been a situation where he let it slip and then he began to act, crazy, and then began knowingly saying wrong things just to throw off things? Maybe. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. Now, let's get into this. This is what to expect, what to watch when the Delphi trial murders begin on Friday. So it's been 2,802 days since the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German were found near the Monhon High Bridge in Delphi. The man accused of the killing of the two teenagers is about to stand trial. Opening statements for Richard Allen's double murder trial begin Friday morning, October 18th. 13 Investigates reporter Bob Siegel spoke with 13 News lead analyst Katie Jackson Lindsay about the upcoming legal proceedings. It probably has been and will continue to be one of the most unique cases in history. Okay, let's see. I kind of want to get just to the meat and, the bones of this. Let's see. All right. The jury is going to be of 16 Allen County residents were selected earlier this week to serve on the jury. 12 of those people will begin the trial as jurors, as 4 will serve as alternates. The jury is made up of 8 women and 4 men. The 4 alternate jurors are 2 men and 2 women. Do you guys think that having more women on the jury against him is beneficial to him, or not so much? I think that, especially if some of these, obviously even the men, but if some of these women were parents, I think that they might, I think all of them might, no matter men or women, are probably going to see and feel a certain way, especially if they have children in that manner. Sandy Little says, Daniel, is it up to the judge to have all these courtroom restraints? I believe so. I think in Indiana, it's one of the places where they can. But my thing is, again, I think there's going to be issues with, there's going to be some issues there with like misinterpretation, and that can go either way. But let's see. They were chosen from among 88 Allen County residents who were interviewed during 8 separate rounds of questioning by Carroll County prosecutor Nick McLeland and Allen's defense team. The jurors come from all walks of life, including a nurse, transportation director, and a school counselor. School counselor has a lot of connections, obviously, to children. I wonder how this is going to affect their decision based on those type of connections with kids. Several of the jurors said that they had seen media coverage about the high-profile murder case prior to being selected by the jury, but all pledged to keep an open mind and to render a decision based on the evidence presented during the trial. This case here, I would say Brian Cobert's case, in this case, at the time when this happened, probably relatively about the same as far as coverage. I think that obviously there wasn't many or very few YouTubers on podcasts and stuff like that talking about true crime, but mainstream media held a lot of attention back then as well, and they covered a lot of cases, Peterson's cases, many of the Peterson cases, and including this one. That's how I heard about this case. But it's been a lot longer since this murder happened versus like what Brian Koberger's the murder of the four university students in Moscow, Idaho has happened. And so even with maybe, a little bit longer of time, people still know. It's going to be hard for them not to find people that know. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there. So the crime scene, when Carroll County prosecutor present the state's case to the jury, Jackson Lindsay said the early focus will be on painting a picture of the crime scene. We don't know every single piece of evidence that was collected. They're not required to put that in probable cause affidavit. We don't know how significant every piece of evidence is. And so learning more about the crime scene itself and educate the jury on that is going to be really important for the prosecution. Now, I think that the defense had, they did something so that way they're not going to go out there to the crime scene. I have it up here. We'll check that out here in a second. And so the evidence will also include a detailed explanation and description of the victim's manner of death. Establishing that Allen was actually at the scene of the crimes will be crucial for the state if the prosecutors want to convince jurors of Allen's guilt, according to Jackson Lindsay. That's so important because at this juncture, Richard Allen is the only person charged with these murders. Richard Allen is the only one alleged to have committed the crime at all. They have to put up to Richard Allen there, I think, to have credibility to this jury. So just kind of a couple things to look forward to. We've kind of like looked over into quite a bit of this as far as Odinism and what's going to be allowed. Judge is not going to allow Odinism in the case for them to be bringing it up. And I think if you're going to single out several different people, they can't have a solid alibi / you have to have some sort of evidence that puts them there. And if you don't, you kind of have to go about it a different way. Now, the way I would probably attack it, and I'm not an attorney or anything like that, but I would ask witnesses and stuff like that, like, is this staging? Because it was staged, maybe the detectives and stuff. It's like, what did you think the staging purpose was? And initially, and then you bring in your own witnesses that would tell you would ask the question, does this look like a random staging, or does this look like a staging with a purpose? Maybe perhaps religious, maybe perhaps demonic, things like that. And so to try to get that into the jury's mind without bringing up Odinism and without bringing up sacrificial stuff or whatever the case may have been, but get that in their mind that, does this look like it's set up in a manner that is not random? Now, I have unfortunately seen the crime scene photos and are familiar with their positioning, and I'm not sure if their body position perhaps was something other than dragging, to be honest with you. One of the child had their arm stretched out as if the perpetrator, you can kind of see the drag marks behind her, pulled her from the arm, and the other one looked like as if somebody carried them like this, and they got into rigor partially, and they got stuck that way. And the feet kind of look as if while he was dragging this one, or whoever was dragging this one. I'm not going to mention who or which body, but it appeared that the foot thing that kind of looked like it was crossed or whatever, I think that was happening because, obviously there's no life in the body. So limbs and everything are very, they just go everywhere. Gravity does their thing. And it kind of looked like this person was moving forward, then backward, and then forward to kind of position the body in a certain way. And it just so happened that happened with the legs. I mean, could it also have been purposeful? Maybe it could have, but does it also look like that part could be random? So you can kind of picture that, Now, as far as the layout of the sticks and stuff, I wouldn't say that looks random. I'd say that looks purposed. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of split on it when it comes to the position and if it means anything or not, to be honest with you. But man, it's sad what those two little girls had to go through. And it is. And so let me see if you guys have any comments before I continue on. Let's see. If you have any comments or things of that nature, hit a couple of stars there for me so that way I can see it. If you have a, let's see. Wow, deny evidence? What evidence? Well, evidence for which way? I don't think I have said that I'm one way or the other. I really, on this one, I would have to listen to what the evidence is. I'm not saying that in other cases that we covered that I don't. It's just that in other cases that we have, there's no real argument like there is in this case from the defense team. Like none. They haven't even given a real alibi. And so here you have something different that does kind of make, it makes me question some things. Let's see. Yes, please put a couple stars there. All righty. So we'll continue. Now, there's already been some bombshell stuff that has dropped in the and trial hasn't even started. So the defense claims hair found with victim didn't match Richard Allen. Okay. So apparently her hair was found. And from what I have heard, and there's a bunch of different things that have been said in a bunch of different places. And this is why, having a recorded document, a recording of this of some kind for the public is probably helpful in this situation, because it sounds like in several places that a single hair was found clutched in, I believe it's Abby's hand. And then in other places it says hair, and then it says hair near the victims. And so I have no idea which one it is. You know what I'm saying? I think that's one of the reasons why they should have had this thing going, live or public. I think it's a bad mistake. So Allen's defense team revealed that a hair was found in Abby Williams' hand that didn't match Richard Allen. So this one sounds like it's a single hair. It says it doesn't match Richard Allen, so that tells me that there was some DNA work done on it. They're not allowed to use the Odinism in the case because they can't place those guys at the scene. So it's highly unlikely that it's theirs. I would assume that, and that goes for all of them, Elvis Fields, Holder, and the other guy. I would assume that they would have matched those up. Even the defense would have done some DNA work on that to see if they can match it, if there was some sort of DNA profile gathered for those guys. And so it's probably not theirs just based off of that. It's probably not Ron Logan's because I'm sure they had his DNA and stuff collected as well. Now, I haven't heard of an IgG. So I wonder if this is something that, I mean, they could have done an IGG on this. And I would have thought that that would have been one of the moves, especially given how long the case has been. In fact, I thought that may have been what had captured him at one point was the IGG. I thought maybe they did find something, but it doesn't sound like that seems to be the case. But if they had a hair thing, I would have assumed they would have done that. And so the other thing is it doesn't say it's unknown. It just says a hair was found. I would have assumed it would have said an unknown DNA or an unknown hair from somebody unknown was found in Abby Williams' hand that didn't match Richard Allen. Now, from what I remember seeing on those pictures when it comes to Abby, she was the one that was dressed in Libby's clothes. It appeared like the sweater, the arms extended over the hands, and the hands were inside that sweater. So, is it possible that it's one of, uh, Abby's hair? Could it be Libby's hair? Could it be Libby's family's hair? If, for instance, that sweater was washed with other clothing, could hair from some of the family members have gotten into that sweater? I think that's possible. I think that's possible. And so I think this is going to be this has to be something for the defense, because if this turns out to be nothing, if it turns out to be Libby's hair, and that's the way they're trying to make the evidence look, that's going to turn off the jury real quick before this trial even gets off and going. So I think this can actually be more disastrous than it being, if it ends up being wrong. I think it's going to have a huge impact either way. If it ends up being like a few strands and it's unknown, or because I highly doubt that they have known who this person is. I don't think they would have been able to have figured him out yet without the IGG. And so based on the other people that are there and based on what the defense is doing, I don't think so. So with that being said, if it turns out to be an unknown male sample, I think that's a big question mark. And I think that could create some reasonable doubt there. And I think if it comes back that it's Libby's or somebody else's, I think that's going to have an impression on the jury. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think in the live chat. If it comes, how impactful do you think this statement's going to be? And well, let me know this. If it comes back to be one of the, victims, the other victim, Libby or her family, because it was their family, it was a sweater that was in their family's house. If it comes back to being one of those, how would that make you feel about the case? Let me know what you guys think. By not allowing the sketches, they aren't allowing the witnesses who describe those sketches. Are they not allowing the witnesses? But here's the thing, though. Witness testimony is not very reliant, like at all. And there's a pretty clear indication. So when in the PCA, Richard Allen is walking into the park, he sees 3 juveniles. These 3 juveniles are walking out of the park at the same time. All 4 of these people, Richard Allen and 3 juveniles, describe the same incident. One person says hi, and Richard Allen allegedly just keeps on walking. He's walking with some determination and didn't respond to that hi. The 3 juveniles, the other 2 juveniles, had mentioned the same thing, but when they talked about the description of the guy, I think one of them said that he looked older. One of them said that he had gray hair. One said that he had like reddish hair. I think that one said he had a blue jacket. One said he had a black jacket. One said that he was 5'10" or shorter. I think another one said he was shorter man. I don't remember. There was a lot of different descriptions from the same people who have interacted in the same time. And we know around what time that was because they took a picture on a bench, the juveniles, which would be time stamped. And I believe it was at 1:26. And so that interaction would have had to come after 1:26 p.m. So the witness, I would have assumed they would still let the witnesses talk. I don't know about the drawings. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. But then again, I'm not a big true crime guy. Truth be told, I talked about it, but I just kind of know what I know from experience in the past in law enforcement, and so I never looked into a bunch of different cases. I'm not, I don't know everything when it comes to court and law. I'm not a lawyer, and I never watched a bunch of cases online. I think I saw the Casey Anthony trial. I think that's the only one I've ever seen. Well, anyways, I don't know if I've ever heard. Well, maybe they have. Maybe they have. I don't know. You guys let me know. Have you guys seen, police sketches used in trial? I don't know if I have. The hair is piquing my interest. Yeah, it is pretty interesting. I'm not lying. It's. I think it can go one way. Either way. When we find out, if it's somebody that they know and it's somebody that they can clear, well, it depends. Well, we know it's not the Odinism folk because they could have used that to put them in the crime at the crime scene, and then they could have used the Odinism stuff. So that tells me it's not them. I did hear that there was some other DNA that was found, and it ended up being one of the state troopers' DNA that was at the scene. And so I wonder if this may have been it. Maybe. What is? I'm not sure. I don't know. Is Keegan Kline a witness? I don't think so. I don't think he came up on the witness list. Let's see. One of the girl's sisters has a podcast. Does anyone know what it is? I think she'll have the best info. She really can actually speak. I haven't heard of it. If anybody does know it, email it to me. I'll see if I can get in touch with her and have her on the show. Which reminds me, I'm going to have Rick from Delphi After Dark on Saturday. We're discussing the time still, but I think it might be a little bit earlier in the morning, probably about 9:30, 9 o'clock. 9 a.m. is what I'm thinking Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern. So how is his DNA not on one of them if he's dressing them and dragging with them? I don't know. And we also have to realize, who's collecting the DNA in the situation? Who's been at the scene? Maybe perhaps there was an issue like what I just said with this sergeant or the trooper, whatever it was, that may have left his DNA there. Maybe he compromised the DNA on the body and that they could never use it. But you would have assumed that they would have used it anyways to find, like the IgG or whatever, to try to figure out who he is. Obviously, they wouldn't be able to use it against him in court or in any warrant, so they'd have to find another way of going around that to get those things, and which isn't hard to do. You pull them over for speeding or something, have them sign something, with a pen, like a warning. You wear your gloves during that time. He signs it. You come back. You put the pen in the bag, and boom, you got his DNA. It's not very hard. And the probable cause there was pulling them over for whatever infraction it was. So a lot of people think, oh man, if they found them by one way, that's the only road that they have to get there. That's not it. That's not true. There's more than one way to get to Walmart. Let's see. All right. Denying evidence by court referring to Odinism. I apologize. Okay. So not allowing them to bring up Odinism. I think that you have, if you're going to put the blame somewhere, you have to have some sort of evidence outside of, hey, this person and his son dated the girl that who passed. But if they're like on camera and they're on video somewhere else, they have a strong alibi, and there's nothing that puts them there on the scene. I think it can be hard. I mean, you kind of have to have some sort of evidence and proof that they did something to publicly put him out there like that. Just like Richard Allen, he needed to have probable cause and a bunch of other things to get arrested and put his info out there as a suspect, yada, yada, or as a person. Um, I just don't. I don't think they would allow you to do that without some sort of like evidence. Like for instance, in the Karen Reed case, there was evidence out there that the police officer didn't do an investigation in the Albert house. All right, so now you can implicate them because of that situation, and if you tie them together of knowing each other, you can kind of come up with something to say that it's possible that this person was covering this up for him. There's something there. There's something tangible that you can see the mistake by not doing the investigation that was admitted by the officer. You have to have something tangible like that in this situation as well. So, I don't, if they don't allow them to have a say in what they think, that staging could be, I think that would be a misjustice, because it doesn't have to be the specific people that are pointed out in the defense's documents that point out just the specific Odinist group. It could have been other people in the group that are unknown to us, if it was that. And so I think that it would be an injustice if they did not allow the jury to have the idea that the staging could have been something ritualistic, could have been, without pointing at Odinism, right? And so that's where I agree with that. As far as pointing out single individuals, I don't think you can do that in this situation. Yes, please hit that like button. What about the bullet found in a keepsake box, anyone? I think that when it comes to the bullet, I don't know about the one in the keepsake box, because these girls weren't shot. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know about that, but what I do know is that it appears that in that video, the guys down the hill video, that one of the little girls says gun or something like that. I've heard that the gun is seen in the video. A gun is seen in the video, and they found this bullet such a long time ago. It must have been, gone through ballistics at that point. So there would be a record of when it went through ballistics, when it was, the marking was found, so to speak. And so it's not like a situation where they're like, hey, go do a search warrant on Richard Allen, go find his gun, we'll go shoot it, or we'll go have it eject out of the weapon, and then we'll switch in that bullet for that, the one that we found 7 years ago or whatever. That doesn't work that way. You wouldn't be able to go into the computers and replace those things like that. So, or into the database, because it goes into a database where it matches, where it looks for matches for other rounds used in other crimes, I think nationwide. So you couldn't go in there and fake that at that point. They would have had to have had his round that ejected from his gun at that time then, and have, I don't know, put it in there, put it on the scene the day or two after the murders, with the intent to wait 7 years to arrest Richard Allen. That don't sound strong to me or believable. We have a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Sirius. She's one of our mods, one of our members, huge supporter, and a fan of the show and a friend of the show. Comes in saying, thank you for covering, Daniel. Much love to my turkey family. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We truly do. All right. Didn't R say he shot and buried the girls in his confession? There's like 60 confessions. And there's some that I think he said that he took the life of his family, including his grandkids, which you don't have grandkids. But in there were some that I think if they have some, credibility to, or some consistency with what was found. Like, I think the one that they really brought up was the one that he said that he had committed this crime with a box cutter from CVS that he was given, that he disposed of it at his work the next day or whatever in the dumpster. If they can prove that it was a box cutter, then okay, you have one there that matches. Now, I think timing also depends, right? So did the first one come out as, the shooting, the grandkids, or was the very first one the box cutter, or the first one a slip? And then we all heard that, he started going crazy and started doing some weird stuff. Was that an act? And were these other confessions mixed in here a ploy to say, hey, I really don't, I couldn't have been me because I'm coming up with all these different confessions. If they can, maybe that's why they allowed them into the hearing, because of that, maybe the timing in which they came in, and if they can prove somehow that he was doing this on purpose. I mean, it's hard to prove that, to be honest with you, but if they could, I don't know how they could, but if they could, maybe he wrote something down or something saying that he was coming up with all these different confessions to throw off the police. That would be powerful too. Maybe that would be a reason why they're allowing the ones that don't, allowing them to begin with, even the ones that don't jive with the with the crime. All right. This should be an interesting trial. Lots of twists and turns. Yeah, it should be. I mean, like I said, this one here has me the case so far the most that has me saying, whoa, let's take a step back. We really need to watch and see all the evidence that's coming out, because there's some things that are coming out that could be really, really big for the prosecution, or could be really, really big for the defense. And so I just wish that there was we had the ability to have a camera in there. All right. So here's another one that talks about the hair at the scene. See, this one says Tuesday that a hair found near the victim's bodies did not match Allen. And so it's just, like I said, another way that these things keep coming up wrongly. Now here it is: the Delphi murders trial. Defense withdraws request for trip to the crime scene. Goal here is motion on composite sketches. And so the defense has said, all right, we don't need to go to the crime scene no more. I wonder what changed their mind. The defense withdrew its request Thursday, proceeding meaning Goal didn't have to issue a decision on the matter. In its original motion, the defense argued such a trip would give the jury a greater understanding of the scene and how it related to the evidence presented during trial. Prosecution objected to this idea, writing in the response that such a trip would require a substantial amount of time and resources. Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McLeland said that the state would introduce exhibits showing the layout of the scene, including maps and drone footage. It ultimately came to a moot point after Allen's defense team rescinded the motion. I wonder why. I wonder what made them change their mind. Let's see. And as far as I'm not using the sketches in trial, if I was Richard Allen, I'd want them to be used, because it shows that, they really didn't know who they were looking for. But that was then. What does that have to do with now? You know what I mean? It's kind of like in the Brian Koberger case, where people say, hey, they thought it was a 2011, 2013 Hyundai Elantra. And I say, so what? I mean, that was then. And, before that was a 2019 Sentra. Who cares? What is it today? Can the defense say that that's not the vehicle? No. Yes. I don't know. Is there other evidence that puts him there that's stronger than the sketches? Yeah. And, like I've said before, witness testimony is highly, highly unreliable. But these sketches here, they do look different. I would say the left one probably looks more like Richard Allen. But I think they had other people in mind for this case. In my opinion, when they did this, they probably thought that maybe perhaps they had a suspect, which is, I think, what was going on this entire time, which is why I think that they took so long to find Richard Allen. I think they tunnel visioned into it. And I think that these pictures here maybe resemble other people who were suspects at the time, potential suspects or persons of interest, in efforts to see if anybody remembers seeing those people on the trail or whatever the case may have been. Texas Ranger goes, I think he's going down like someone else we know. It's possible. It is. I'm really in the middle on this one, guys. I really do think that he was a part of it. But I'm having a hard time thinking maybe he was by himself. I'm also having a hard time thinking that that there isn't going to be reasonable doubt if some of these things come back in the defense's favor. That doesn't say that he didn't do it. I just think that if there's like an unknown hair in the hand of a victim, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty compelling. And as you can see, it's pretty descriptive of where it's at, for the most part. I know some places were being vague about it, but for the most part, people have put in there that it was in the hand. Opening statements scheduled for Friday. So yeah, this is what we have here. But yeah, when it comes to this case here, I'm going to be very, very interested in what's going to be said, what's going to be done. Again, Rick from Delphi After Dark will be here on Saturday. Let me double check if he's already responded. I can tell you what time it'll be. Perfect. So we'll be 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have Rick on from Delphi After Dark. He's got some interesting, not say takes, like he came out first. So he's been on the show before. And main reason was I brought him on the show was because he talked about Odinism and symbols and things like that way before the defense dropped in that piece of information. And so I was curious as to how he knew those things and what his thoughts were on them. Well, he's going to come back. He's actually been to the trial and he's heard some things firsthand. So, or some of these hearings. I want to hear what he knows and if he was there during the time when the defense said, "Hey, there was a hair in the hand." I want to know if he caught the whole thing. So you want to catch that. That's going to be on Saturday morning. Let's see. Do I see? Nah, I haven't had a new one in a while, I'll be honest with you. The last one I had is I have a Joker tattoo on my leg from Joker. Not from this recent movie, the Joaquin Phoenix, but the part 1, where that movie was cool. I haven't seen the part 2, but I heard it was kind of bad. So, but part 1 I thought was very interesting. So I have that Joker on my leg. I have the what's this? Heath Ledger Joker on my arm. And so let's see. Good question. I thought of that myself. Okay. Texas Ranger. What was your question? I'm just curious about if his rights were violated by holding him in a prison before trial. I don't think so. Because I think he was under like suicide watch. Right. and that entails some things. And so, in order to, and for his safety, for against himself, you have to have him in a facility that can handle a prisoner 24/7 on watch, and that also has a facility where other people don't have access to him, such as like other inmates and things like that. And I'm not sure that would have been possible from a county jail that was small. I mean, we've heard about, the Brian Koberger case. He had people that would walk in front of him, things like that. And, although in that place, I don't know, but it is possible in any of these places that in one of these low security prisons that somebody could harm them. I mean, you have somebody who's been arrested for a crime against children. That really don't fly well in prison. You know what I'm saying? So, prisoners there, they tune those kind of guys up. So you want to keep them separate. You also want to make sure that he's safe from himself. And so if the facility there isn't fit for that, you're gonna have to put him in a facility that is. So I don't think that, I think the right for his safety will trump the right of being held in a county jail, because I don't think that's the right there. I think the right is to be housed safely. I think he just got a little bit of taste of what potentially could come if he's found guilty. All right. I think if he is charismatic, I can't read today. In his behavior and nonverbal language, I think the females could benefit him. Richard Allen? I don't know. I don't know about that. But all right. All righty. So now for the next case that we'll be talking about, this is referencing Suzanne Simpson. She is a realtor out here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm actually going to see if I can head out there to Almost Park and get a view of the land, so to speak, get an idea of where, because her husband's arrested, right? And basically what he was arrested for was a fight that was seen by one of the neighbors, I believe, outside of their home. Well, I kind of want to see how far that distance was. Is there any obstructions or anything like that? So if you're following this case, you definitely want to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we are going to be covering this a little bit more extensively. And we are going to be going to some places in San Antonio, since this is a case local to me. So yeah, turkey boots on the ground. Did they say if the hair was human? No, they didn't. They just said it wasn't Richard Allen's, which is crazy. Let's see. All right, so timeline: disappearance of Suzanne Clark Simpson, arrest of husband Brad Simpson. The mother of 4 has been missing. So this is a little bit of a timeline. We'll go through it a little bit just to kind of catch everybody up. The mother of 4 has been missing since Sunday, October 6th. The search for Suzanne Clark Simpson is ongoing. The Almost Park mother of 4 and realtor was last seen Sunday, October 6th. And her husband, Brad Simpson, has been arrested since on charges unrelated to her disappearance. So that's a big thing. So he's been arrested for charges unrelated to her disappearance. So I would assume that, let's just continue before we make any assumptions. Here's the timeline of the case. The couple attended a party at the Argyle, a private dinner club on Patterson Avenue in Alamo Heights, before returning to their home, which they share with their 2 children. Almost Park Police Chief Fidel Villegas said that the couple fought at the event. So there was an argument at the event. People saw this. There was multiple people there. A neighbor told police that between 10 and 11 p.m., he heard an argument outside his bedroom window. So this is at night. That became louder and seemed closer to his window. When the neighbor looked out his window, he saw Simpson in a physical altercation. An arrest warrant affidavit stated he said Susan Clark Simpson was trying to get away from Brad Simpson as he tried to pull her down. It appeared Brad Simpson was clearly attempting to keep Miss Simpson from running away, the neighbor told authorities, according to the affidavit. So this is at night. And like I mentioned before, witness statements can be not so reliable. And this is kind of where this whole thing kind of concerns me a little bit when it comes to his arrest and potential prosecution. Because I think some things can be thrown out based on what they arrested him for. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So here is Simpson's residence. This is the original search location. And this is where the Argyle is. So it's very close, not too far away. Well, I mean, it could be about a couple miles away. Let's see. The neighbor told authorities he saw the couple heading westbound. The neighbor went outside to investigate, and a short time later, he heard 2 to 3 screams from a brushy area east of his home, said the affidavit. But that's already been discovered to not be related. Like, I haven't found what it was, but that has been already, that wasn't the Miss Simpson. It was somebody else or something else that was happening. So that was part of his affidavit of arrest. That's iffy. If you're able to determine that has nothing to do with this crime, it shouldn't be in there anymore, or that would definitely put a hole in what's in there. Now, I truly think they have something stronger to hold him on. I think it's like a $2 million bond. So they must have something. You know, they're pretty confident that they were going to find her in the landfill. There's something, whether there's DNA or something that they found that leads them to believe foul play has occurred. So there's something there, but the way they're going about it is a little concerning. A short time, so there was some screams. About an hour later, the neighbor saw Brad Simpson start his black GMC pickup and leave his house. The neighbor told authorities he saw Brad Simpson return about 1 to 2 hours later. The neighbor did not call the police, but told them the account he was questioned at a later date. So here's the vehicle. Maybe there's some DNA in the vehicle that leads them to believe something happened. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, I don't know what's going on with this one. So May 7th, the last activity on Suzanne Simpson's phone was around 7:15 a.m. on October 7th. According to the police, the coordinates showed the phone was in the business parking lot in Olmos Park. At 3 p.m., their child school called Brad Simpson and advised him that their child had not been picked up. The affidavit states, Susan soon typically picks up their children from school. Brad Simpson told the police, according to the affidavit, Brad Simpson told the police late when he reported his wife missing. So he's the one that reported her missing when she didn't come, pick up her children from school. Around 10 p.m., maybe a lot later, but around 10 p.m. is when he reported his wife missing. Tuesday, October 8th, at some point, Brad Simpson became uncooperative with investigators and failed to show up for an interview. Police learned that he relocated to his ranch in Bandera County. Investigators questioned Brad Simpson's brother, Bart Simpson, who told police that Brad Simpson had called him and apologized for all the problems he had caused. At 4:30 p.m., investigators interviewed a staff at the school of one of the children attends. The child told staff that her parents were fighting and that her dad assaulted her mom and took her phone away. The affidavit states. The child also said Suzanne Simpson had a bruise on her elbow. All right, so that is, basically the child is saying that dad took the phone away, and that could account for why it was pinging or where it was at the business parking lot that morning. I wonder if he took his phone with him. They may have been able to also track his phone in tandem with her phone, going to that parking lot and then leaving. That would also be something you can hold in there as well. Olmos Park released missing person flyer news outlets around 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Evening, neighbors and friends started to show up in the area to pass out flyers and search for Suzanne. At 9:50 p.m., police questioned Simpson's neighbor, who told him what he saw on night of October 6th. Police obtained an arrest warrant for Brad Simpson on the charges of assault, family violence, and unlawful restraint. Around 1:30 a.m., the Texas Department of Safety and Kendall County Sheriff's Office took Brad Simpson into custody near 542 East mile marker on Interstate 10. So he took off. He went to his ranch. That's suspicious because his wife is just missing. You know, if she comes back home, why are you leaving? So that is pretty suspicious there. Brad Simpson was booked into Kendall County after 4 a.m. and his bond was later set at $1 million. So there has to be something huge because maybe they found some blood or something in the area where the neighbors saw this, assault, because that's a high bond, you know. So in my opinion, they have to have something there. At 10 a.m., two of Susan Simpson's friends spoke to KSAT, described her as a good friend to them and a great mother to 4 children. They said that they were heartbroken about her disappearance and hopeful she would be found alive. Villegas held a media briefing announcing the arrest of Brad Simpson. Villegas mentioned that the investigators found 2 items in the woods, but he did not offer specifics. So found some stuff in the woods, heard some screams. They were putting those together. The screams ended up not being part of this, from what I understand. I read that in a couple places. He said he was not able to determine yet whether they were connected to Suzanne Simpson. Investigators also searched the couple's home and the surrounding areas, but yet declined to say what, if any, evidence was found. Thursday, October 10th, in the morning, police took down the crime scene tape from outside Simpson's home and opened east almost traffic again. They condensed their command post to an area within a block east of the contour. At 8 a.m., detective confirmed in a phone call that investigators completed a search of the home, but he declined to offer any details on what may have been found. Brad Simpson was taken to Bexar County Jail after being transferred from Kendall County. Rumor mill working overtime as police put in long hours searching. Okay. Brad Simpson's mother, who did not reveal her name, told KSAT, "I am in total disbelief. We are devastated family, and we do need privacy, and that's what we're asking, because our only concern right now are these children and these grandchildren." At 4 p.m., Villegas held another meeting briefing and released a photo of a security camera showing Suzanne Simpson outside of the Argyle. So let's see. This is the photo. Here. On Friday 11th, federal authorities placed a hold on Brad Simpson. A federal hold on a detainer is a request from a federal agency to keep an inmate in custody or to notify the agency before his or her release. Authorities searched the 33,000 block of I-10 near Highway 87, about a mile away from where Brad Simpson was arrested. The search lasted from about 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Authorities did not say if anything specific was found. So this is the location there. I'm assuming they had some GPS and things of that nature that had him traveling up to that direction. He may have stopped there. You know, if he went to Kendall County, going up this direction is the direction you would travel to get to Kendall County. You would go up I-10 here, and then straight up I-10 is Bernie, which is on its way to the Kendall County area. I think Kerrville's back here. And so this is the route you would take. Now, what I would assume they found or thought or maybe had seen was maybe his phone stopped there for a bit of time or something. And that's why they searched it. But that's just me speculating. All righty. A warrant to search the Southeast Bexar County landfill for any clues regarding Susan Simpson's disappearance was signed after being filed under seal by the Texas DPS. So Saturday the 12th is when they got the order for searching the Bexar County landfill. A prayer vigil on the 13th for Suzanne at Lourdes Grotto on Blanco Road. Her mother, Barbara Clark, spoke at the vigil. "I just don't understand. I don't understand why it happened. It wasn't part of their life." Barton Tinsley Simpson, Suzanne Simpson's brother-in-law, released a new statement on social media on Sunday. "We are so deeply thankful for the community and everyone who has supported and continues to support for the search." Barton Simpson said, "To all of you who have reached out with loving and encouragement, please know that your support means the world to us. We will not stop until we find her." On the 14th, KSAT made aware that the search happening at the landfill in the southeast Bexar County began. A bond hearing for Brad Simpson was canceled due to the federal hold, and it has been scheduled for Tuesday the 15th. Okay, and then the landfill on the 15th continued. In an email to Olmos Park residents, Vegas revealed that evidence, statements, and further investigation led officers to the landfill. On a post on X, formerly Twitter, San Antonio Police Chief said that Olmos Park Police asked the SAPD's help in the search. McManus said 25 cadets assisted on Tuesday. It is now revealed that Brad Simpson now faces federal charges for legally owning a short-barreled rifle. He faces up to 10 years in federal prison and a $250,000 fine. According to this affidavit, his charge is the reason Brad Simpson has a federal detainer on his release from Bexar County. So right here is where, like I'm concerned, right? So I'm assuming that they got a warrant for his place based on what the neighbor said he saw. Right now, I'm assuming they have something strong, but if they don't, and it keeps being found out that nothing keeps being found, if this man, Mr. Simpson, if he goes out and gets a good lawyer and gets this thrown out, the first thing thrown out, the assault, because it's a he said, she said type of thing, unfortunately. And this guy was looking through a window at night. You know, how much light was there? If he gets that thrown out, I'm assuming that had a warrant to do with his house and his properties. And that's what led them to this gun charge. If that gets thrown out, that makes that search no good. So then this case would be thrown out. So they have to have something. I just don't like the way they're hiding what they have, but I'm hoping they have something. I hope they have something more than that there was an argument at the dinner. There was an argument outside of his house, potentially. You know, I don't know how close this was either. So that's the other thing I wanted to go check. But like, let's go here. I mean, well, there's an ad, obviously. But I want to see what the house looked like and see, all right, if you're the neighbor inside your house, what can you see? Because it looks like a lot of trees around there. And so I'm not saying that he didn't do it. I'm fairly positive this happened in the manner that they said it happened. It just sounds like they have some evidence. I hope they do. But let's see if they end up going outside the house. I was hoping they'd had a picture. Okay, so this is the picture they're talking about there. That's the dude. They didn't have a picture of it. All right, so this is the guns that he illegally owned. And it's illegal. The brother of Brad Simpson, Bart Simpson, condemned his brother on social media. He released the following statement on social media: "Until Brad chooses to cooperate, we will continue to cooperate for him, as we have from the very beginning of this heartbreaking ordeal. This is not how he was raised, and this is not who we are. Our parents instilled in us the value of honoring and protecting others, and they are truly remarkable people. The devastation this has caused to our family is overwhelming. Brad's refusal to cooperate is unacceptable. My sister and brother-in-law have stepped up to take care of the children, but the impact on our parents have been shattering. Our lives have been irreparably changed, and we will not rest until we find Susan." Bart Simpson. That's you know, his family they must know something. They probably were aware of domestic abuse in the house for some time. You know, they even talked about a bruise on the elbow. So I'm assuming it wasn't a secret that there was some problems there. Like I said, they have to have more to keep him on a $1 million bond and not allow him out than just the witness statement from outside, because that's not enough, not in my opinion. Let's see. I forgot you were there. Maybe you can go check out the woods where the fire. That's exactly what I want to do. I want to go check out the woods where it happened. Um, I want to see if there was another ad. I want to see what it looked like. I want to see what it looked like. But yeah, I'm here in San Antonio, Texas. So you might see me out there. Oh, good night, Sirius. We'll see you tomorrow or the next time. We'll be here on Saturday. Daniel, the family turned in a bunch of his guns and silencers he had. One of the guns was an illegal gun. I forgot the name of it, like an MK type automatic rifle. All right. All right. So if the family turned in the guns, as long as they had access to his property legally, and that should stick. If they went into his house and took them out and gave them to the officers without his permission of them going into his house, that can be a problem. So maybe that ranch was in, maybe that was a family ranch that they had out there. Could have been. Let's see. I wonder if there's doorbell video somewhere. They're not just one talking about. Well, I want to look at the area real quick. I'm going to find the address. If anybody knows it, just kind of put it in there. I'd appreciate it. There was an altercation at the diner location as well. Yeah, I know that there was an altercation, a verbal argument. Did it get physical at the dinner? That's the question there. You know, if it was, not saying that if it was just yelling, that's okay or anything like that, but to hold him on $1 million bond, there's got to be some evidence of a physical altercation outside of one witness looking through his window. You know, if there was a verbal argument at the dinner, you know, what he could say was, you know, we had an argument there. We came home, we argued some more. I got in my car and I left. Came home, she wasn't here. I assume she went to a friend's place. And you know, I didn't realize she was missing until after nobody picked up the kids. Like that is a potential story that he could have, you know? And I mean, I don't know the evidence. Maybe perhaps there's some blood or something in the house or something that leads him to one place or another, but I don't know. Let's see. I think that actually started over. I think they're at the landfill here. Yeah. I wonder what led them there. But so this is almost police reveal what led them to the Southeast Bexar County landfill in search of missing mother Suzanne Simpson. In a statement released by residents, by two city residents, by Almost Park Chief Police Fidel Villegas, said that evidence, statements, and further police investigations had led officers to the landfill. So there's evidence, statements. What statements? Was it probably one of his statements? He may have said something that maybe there's a dumpster nearby where he was at, and they thought that could lead them to this direction. Maybe they found some DNA in there. I'm not sure. Okay. Let's see. Because a lot of this we already looked into. Or we already discussed. This says Almost Park Police said the Simpson family has been helpful and supportive during the search for Suzanne Simpson. Was it their statements? And they say here, we feel confident there is a good chance of recovering Suzanne at that location. Well, says here, evidence, statement, solid police investigation has led us there. This would not be possible with the help of many law enforcement agencies, some non-law enforcement agencies. However, the Texas Rangers and the DPS are the forefront. Sorry, my dyslexia kicked in. Of this investigation, and the OPPD is working side by side with them. All right. Well, they were pretty confident then. I don't know how confident they are now. Let me do this way. We got a video to watch. Let's see. We'll speed it up a little bit. We always hear it. Normal speed is always a little slow. Put it at 1.25. Nobody's on drugs. I know people say, "Oh, they must be on drugs because they talk fast." No, I haven't sped up.
Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
The DPS crews have wrapped up their search for Suzanne Simpson at a southeast Bexar County landfill. We have just learned that investigators say they found no evidence at that site after information gathered in the initial stages of their investigation led them to that landfill.
Hey, found
game plan change much with the.
There's the Steelers. Was the federal hold before the gun charges? No, I think that the gun charges is why there was a federal hold. Let's see. If you have any questions, put them in there. Yeah. Let's see. I'm a hunter, but don't own an AR. I guess some many use them for hunting, but personally, I wouldn't own one. Just don't see the need. Gotcha. Yeah. So right now, there's a little evidence. Once there's evidence and things that populate, let me double check the Google, see if anything has popped up since we started the show, and maybe something has happened in the last couple of minutes or hour. Don't look like anything there. No. Search for Suzanne Simpson ends. Let's see what they say about this. Maybe here they might say some more things. 4 days out of scouring the East Bexar County landfill for evidence. All right, so they're looking at one specific place in the landfill. That should tell us that should tell us some information, right? Like that if it's in one location, it's usually you can determine, based on where it's at, like what route or what truck threw it there, what route they were on, right? And so that can tell you some things of where the investigation is going or where they're leading the investigation to. I wonder what part of the city that is, and if that's for Almost Park, which I don't think so. Well, yeah. Well, because I'm outside of San Antonio, and I don't use San Antonio's a waste and trash, right? In fact, one time me and the wife tried to go throw some stuff in, and they're like, "Hey, you're not in San Antonio city limits. You can't dump here." But I don't think that was the Bexar County landfill. I think that was the city one. So I would assume that this could be Almost Park. This could be out there heading towards Bernie on I-10. I think if it was out there heading towards Bernie on I-10 or Almost Park, those are the two places. Also maybe even Leon Valley, but that's kind of far. Well, no, not really. But yeah, I'm just thinking, who would have access to the city landfill and who would have to throw it out in the Bexar County landfill. And I'm thinking that's going to be either Almost Park or heading out towards Kendall County on I-10. Because once you get past a certain distance, you're no longer in city limits, obviously, and you utilize the county for those type of deals there. So by just kind of using deduction there, I would say it's either they assume that something happened and her body was put in the trash, or something was put in the trash either at his place or on the road there. Now, it doesn't mean that they were looking for a body specifically. Maybe they were looking for a weapon or something else that maybe he would have discarded in the trash. But it doesn't seem like they found anything as of yet. Dion Cockrell, a spokesperson for the Department of Public Safety, said no evidence was found after an extensive search consisting of digging and sifting through the municipal solid waste. See, this says municipal solid waste. If it's municipal, then that's the city. So it wouldn't be Almost Park. Almost Park is their own separate thing. That's not part of San Antonio. I mean, it basically is, just like Leon Valley and Helotes. But they're technically a different city. Let's see. Case is still being investigated. Will continue. And we asked that anyone with pertinent information come forward. DPS said they received information during the course of their investigation that led them to their search to the landfill, and police officials in Almost Park, the San Antonio area community where Simpson lives, said Tuesday that they were confident there's a good chance of recovering Susan at the site. So they were looking for her body at the site. Interesting. We explained what they are looking for. It's not lost on them what they're searching for. San Antonio Police Department Deputy Chief Jesse Salam said this week, we will debrief with them afterwards if they need to talk about what they need, what they did, and what they saw. We have a counselor and psychological services for them if they need it for them. Okay. Yeah. Scary situation, man. It seems like they have reason to believe if they were confident that they were going to recover Suzanne at the landfill, that tells me they got some evidence that says that foul play had occurred. And that would make sense why there's such a high bond and what they're utilizing. There would have to be some sort of if there was corroborating evidence to what the neighbor had seen, like maybe a video, maybe perhaps they had their own video, from their own house that could have ended up working against them. Let's see. Yeah, the husband has not been cooperative anymore. Do you think he maybe is trying insanity but failed at it? If you're thinking Richard Allen, probably. Municipal is separated from construction and demolition. Okay. So that doesn't mean whether or not it's okay. Well, that tells you even more. Kind of narrow it down a little bit even more. But all righty, guys. Well, that's all we got for you guys today. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Please get that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be back Saturday morning with Rick from Delphi After Dark, and we're going to dig deep into what's going on in Delphi. What are the thoughts? What are the theories? What are people saying in the area? He's from the Indiana area. What are the reactions from inside the courtroom, etc.? You don't want to miss it. Everybody, have a great night. Be safe. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Until next time.